Howdy YouTube, Eznex here with a little update video on the Ezarcher project. Over the past month, since the last update video, there's been at least a couple releases of new ISOs. The most recent, just 2 or 3 days ago, on the 24th, I uploaded a new set of ISOs to SourceForge, so you can take a look. I also updated the screenshots. The screenshots this time are of the Mate desktop. I try to pick a different desktop each time I do screenshots just to give some flavor indication of what's going on. Now the screenshots are of a slightly themed from stock desktop, and we'll do that in a VM in a moment here. So when you install Mate from the Arch repos or from my ISO, you get a stock Mate setup, and then it's up to you to make it look the way you want. Now I give you all the tools to make it look the way it does in the screenshots. Everything's on the ISO to do the theming in these shots. So it's not inaccurate in that sense. Okay, so let's go to Files, do a quick overview here. We have ISO 240424 folder uploaded on the 24th of April, and all 5 ISOs are here, and it looks like quite a few people are discovering it on their own before this video came out. So kudos to you if you track my project and know about these updates when they happen rather than waiting for me to get around to an announcement video like this. Also new are the project files, or at least some of them. We have the templates that are updated, the PkgBuild collection is updated, and the Relling configs file is updated to include the new Relling config. Relling Arch ISO updated to version 77, so there are changes that were necessitated by that update, as well as a new version of Calamares, and those changes also needed to be adapted for in the build. Now this doesn't affect people who have already installed and are using Ezarcher and keep it updated. You already have the latest and greatest. However, the new Arch ISO and the new Calamares now respect the microcode hook in mkinit-cpio. So if you wanted to include that hook, you'd have to do that manually. The new ISOs do that because Arch ISO and Calamares are now working that way. So there are some changes like that that happen that the new ISOs will bring that previous installs do not reflect. The new templates build the new ISOs, and as long as Arch ISO and Calamares stay relatively stable, then those templates should work without modification. However, there's no predicting when and how modifications will need to be adapted to changes in upstream projects. I track the changes by going to the changelog in the projects, Calamares and Arch ISO. And this gives a good indication of the changes I will have to incorporate. However, sometimes they're not always listed. In Calamares, it does give some core and module changes, but not two that are really necessary for me to adapt to. And those two I only know about because I track the issues in Calamares as well. I don't really track issues in Arch ISO. I just adapt to whatever changes come down the line. So let's take a look over at the ISO running. This is the Mate desktop, and we'll go over some of the changes that were necessary. So let's open up the home folder here. This is running live. It's not installed. This is the ISO as is. So in the EZarcher folder, in the home folder, are all the files, documentation, scripts, build templates, so on and so forth, tarred up or 7Z'd up packages containing the reling configs as they were released at different versions. The latest version here is the version used in the ISO build, so 77. So if you'd like, you can extract these and look around and see what the original Arch ISO reling config was. Now, my changes are in each template. So let's go ahead and pull the template for the Mate desktop. We're going to copy this into the home folder here. And the reason we're doing that is because I can't extract it in the linked folder, because the linked folder is to a root owned folder. So let's extract here, and we have Mate 2024-0423. I built the templates the day before I actually built the ISOs. Well, it was the same day, just the ISOs took a little longer, so they got pushed to the next day. Okay, some of the changes necessary because of changes in Arch ISO as well as Calamares. Now, these are specific to Arch ISO changes right now. In the bootloader sections in EFI boot and syslinux, syslinux, we can take a look at the entries. So let's open up one of the entries here. And we can see the microcode image files are no longer specified in the init.rd lines. So the AMD microcode and the Intel microcode, those are now built into the initramfs image. So the initramfs images are larger because they contain the microcode images as well. The naming or the identification of the right boot device is changed. So this line is changed as well. And that needed to be changed across the board in all the bootloader files. This file and in the syslinux config files here. So finding the bootable ISO image has changed. As well as you can see, there's no mention of the microcode in syslinux bootloader stanzas either. So that was one change that needed to happen. Another change that needed to happen in etc in mkinitcpio.conf.d, the Arch ISO config file here added the microcode hook. Meant to just highlight that word. You get the idea. Microcode is now included in the hooks array. So that needed to change. What else needed to change? Oh, the grub stanzas also needed to change. The way grub is set up on the live ISO changed slightly as well. Same sort of changes. The search identifier for the bootable ISO image changed, as well as removing any reference to AMD or Intel microcodes. Let's see what else changed. Oh, the packages 64 file. I did add back the Arch install script. So in the live ISOs, if you wish, you don't have to run Calamares and install the image. You don't have to rely on my very limited install scripts. You can run the Arch install script from Arch itself. So hopefully that's appreciated by some people, and you will get a very standard as Arch delivers, through their Arch install script, install of Arch. When you do install through Calamares, that Arch install program is removed, so it's no longer present on the installed system. I prefer to install through Calamares simply because I set it up exactly the way I like an install to happen, rather than having to configure or reconfigure aspects of the install afterwards. Let's see what else. Also in etc Calamares, the only real changes here were in the packages.conf file. I had to add the Arch install as a removal, so that's no longer in the installed system when Calamares is used. Just mentioned that, so a little repeat of info there. In the mount.conf file, one other change that I did do a video about, or even mention it in a couple videos, is setting up the EFI file system. I had discovered that in version 3.3.5 of Calamares, using this setting did not apply these options because the EFI was not a file system. Changing that to VFAT worked at least for version 3.3.5 of Calamares. In version 3.3.6 of Calamares, which is not mentioned, the change is not mentioned here, they did fix the EFI identifying code in the partitioning and boot setup within the Calamares install, and hence the EFI specification here needed to be used instead of VFAT. Very technical changes here, and I'm glad I got in touch with Dalto, who's one of the main contributors to the Endeavor project. He's also involved, at least on the forums of Garuda, and he's a contributor to Calamares code. But his change did not get mentioned in the Calamares changelog. So that is one very glaring omission in this changelog of a very important change that happened. I feel for anyone who was not privy to that exchange of information because they'd never know that. Now, if they never knew that, they probably didn't fix the problem beforehand themselves in the way I did. So for most people, it wouldn't affect. They just now have a working, properly installed system rather than a slightly working installed system. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too technical. Those were all the real changes in Calamares. Any other changes in profile def sh? I don't believe there was a change. Let's see. No, there's no change here. However, I do now change the compression method for the initramfs to zstd here, and I don't use the example in reling config that uses a much higher compression. So my initramfs's on the ISOs are probably a little larger than the ones in the standard Arch ISO. But the decompression, the benefit there is the decompression is quicker. Let's see. Anything else? Pacman.conf didn't really change. Anything else in etc? I don't believe so. No, nothing else really changed here. In opt is where I keep the easy repo on the ISO, and this is where the 5 packages, used to be 4, now it's 5 packages that I choose to install from the AUR get put into the ISO. The newest addition being the downgrade package. This allows you to downgrade any package with the command downgrade. So if you perform an upgrade, find there's a package that's causing problems, you can downgrade that. It's a very useful, sometimes, package to have. So I decided to put that into the ISO. The rest of these are the same. Calamares, of course, CKB comp, and MKID and CPIO OpenSwap both go with Calamares. And then Trizen is my long-standing AUR helper app that I put in. It's a very small Perl-based script to manage AUR packages, and I find it much more efficient and lightweight than Yay or Paru or any of the others. It doesn't get updated as frequently, but it also doesn't break like Yay and Paru do when Pacman seems to change. Trizen has remained very stable over the years. Okay, anything else? Oh, let's get to the theming. Why not, right? So, look and feel, appearance. Let's go with something dark. Let's go with a new background. So we're going to add other computer USR share backgrounds lava lamp. And let's make this scaled. Beautiful. Let's go back to look and feel. I guess it was an appearance. Oh yeah, I have to do it here. Customize. Icons, that's what I wanted. Papyrus dark. And there you have it. Now it matches the screenshots on the project page here. Cool. So that was easy to do. Everything is on the ISO to make it look at least the way I like to make it look. The way you want it to look, you're responsible for that, not me. Make it look as good or as functional or as hideous as you want. I don't care. The list of install packages hasn't changed much over the years. As I said, Arch install program is now included, so you can run a very standard Arch install. Let's open up a terminal here. Mate terminal. Let's make it a little bigger, and let's run fast. Fetch. And there you get a little overview. I switched over to fast fetch from NeoFetch. Gives a little more information, but it operates a little quicker. So there you go, folks. The latest ISOs for EZarcher are up on SourceForge, obviously. They're also up on archive.org. So if you head over to archive.org and specify EZarcher, you will see the 24042 and the 240424 published just earlier today, or uploaded just earlier today. All the files are here, all the screenshots, everything. So I have two ways to download, SourceForge and archive.org. I'll leave you with this image as I say goodbye. Have fun, take care, stay safe, and as always, you'll see me in another video. When? I have no clue. Bye-bye, folks.